talk about the sweetness itself. And he told us, watch out for the ACC.
Yep.
Remember how emphatic Jim Larrañaga was when he came on the show last week, and he said, you know what? I've never heard him express this kind of anger.
Frustration for sure, yep.
Wow. That the ACC was being dissed by the NCAA committee, and what do they know, right? He's orchestrated the Hurricanes into one of the Cinderella stories now, only eclipsed maybe by St. Peter's. You believed in this team, Jim Larrañaga, and the ACC, and congratulations. How much fun is this?
Oh, right to the moon.
He was dancing. That was great.
That's Jackie Gleason there, Defo, and that's what the ACC has done. Oh, right to the moon with the three teams in the Sweet 16.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here on the Defo Show on the fabulous Ion channel. I'm Jeff Deforrest, along with one Mike Lubitz. And we'll be with you for a couple of hours today. Later on in the second hour of the program, one of our favorite things. These are a few of my favorite things. We go old school with Tony Segreto. Tony, I don't know if he did it. He's got this bookmaker that gives him extra points on virtually every game that he bets. But remember, he was talking last week about taking a Hurricanes men's and women's parlay in the first games of the NCAA tournament.
For the first game.
He would have hit that. And I hope he continued to ride the Hurricanes at least until the point where they got to Kansas. Maybe only bet them in the first half against Kansas. That would have been a move, and then you would have had a perfect tournament so far. But Tony Segreto is going to join us later on, and we had to juxtapose a couple of things yesterday because of our situation with any number of illustrious guests, including, once again, how great has Jim Larrañaga been with us, Mike Lubitz? That is terrific. The guy's in hot demand right now. Just signed the extension, just was part of what was the secondary Cinderella theme of the tournament there. Although I guess the people of Iowa State probably thought they were the real Cinderellas in the tournament and in that game against the Hurricanes. But they managed to dispatch Iowa State, make it to the Elite Eight. And Jim Larrañaga, obviously in hot demand as an interview subject. And the Hurricanes were a very popular topic with the way that they handled themselves, comported themselves in the tournament. Kind of an interesting thing. They had all these 6-year Blutarski-like seniors on their roster and had really come from nowhere. The year before was a complete disaster. Remember, It was tough talking to Jim about the team. We always brought him on for his expertise about college basketball and a wealth of knowledge. And as we like to say, the treasure chest of basketball that he is. But, he would try and steer it in the direction sometimes of, he wants to talk about his team and promote the Hurricane basketball program. And you're thinking, I know it's not going so well, Jim. It's okay, man. We don't have to get into that. And he would talk to us about many other things regarding the game and many other aspects of the game during the last couple of years. And then he has this monster season this year where they rounded off 9 in a row. They beat Duke at Cameron Indoor. Coach K, you talk about how depressed was he when he lost to North Carolina. I think you could put that up and ratchet it up exponentially when he lost that game to the Hurricanes at a time where it looked like Duke was really coming on. And then they sort of fell into a little bit of a slump and then came back strongly towards the end of the year before losing a couple of key games, including in the ACC tournament. So Duke in the Final Four, and maybe that is the Cinderella story of this year's NCAA tournament. As much as you would like to see Coach K go out in a blaze of ugliness and maybe getting trounced by North Carolina, I don't know. Yeah, you know what his record is in 99 games. I believe they met 99 times during Coach K's tenure at Duke against North Carolina. Duke, North Carolina, 99 games. What do you think the record is, Mike?
Isn't he slightly over 500? Or right around?
You hit that right on the head. So slightly over 500. They're 50 and 49 in games against North Carolina during Duke's tenure. So, I couldn't be happier if it ended up being 50 and 50.
I think
North Carolina was my team. I was going to bet them at, I think they were 10-1 to win the ACC tournament. They lost to Virginia Tech. Then I fell in love with Virginia Tech, thinking they had derailed North Carolina in the ACC tournament. So, of course, they were going to do something in the NCAA tournament, and they laid an egg. It was just ugly. And going back to the scene of the crime where it'll be possible, very easy to tempting me into betting on these two games, and yet I don't know. I couldn't call Duke, North Carolina. Can you? I mean, I'm thinking Duke probably wins it and goes to the finals and plays Kansas there because Villanova's been compromised, and Villanova didn't overwhelm me by being that impressive. I don't know. What did you think about Villanova? They were scoring like 40 points a game and still winning,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is pretty amazing. But this Justin Moore, and Larinaga mentioned it on the show yesterday, losing him is very significant. So you lose a piece of your offense when you're not generating a lot of offense and you're playing a Kansas team that just put together this monster second half.
Yeah.
So you would have to think that would be some sort of springboard coming back and winning that game in such handy fashion against the Hurricanes for Kansas to maybe think at this point, hey, you know what, guys, this is how we play. We've got it together. They handle Villanova. And ultimately what? Beat Duke? Is that the way you see this thing playing out?
I was just thinking that way. Like, it'd be, I don't hate Duke like a lot of people do, but it would be fun to me to see Duke lose to Carolina in the Final Four. Like, that would be like, you got to feel like that would really get in his craw to lose his final game in the Final Four to his biggest arch rival. I think it would be classic, but I feel like Duke will beat Carolina, and then Kansas finally, look, they were playing well in the tournament, but they hadn't done that. And then they had like a 30-point run on UM, and I feel like they're finally hitting their stride, and they've been the most well-rounded team this entire tournament.
Did we only go to those post-game press conferences when we covered the Final Four in Houston several years back so that we could grab some more of the free food that was out there for the press? Was that the reason that we sat in on those press conferences, or did we actually want to hear what the feeling was from the losing coach, especially on the game? Because
we wanted to see how the losing coaches acted, because you never get to see that. Like, we were hoping to see like how Lon Kruger, after getting pummeled.
They lost by like 50 points in that game, remember? That was something. Buddy Hield, right, was on that team.
Yes, we were like, I was picking Buddy Hield. I was all over Buddy Hield, and they lost by like 40.
Yeah, Hield had like 3 points. He was like 1 for 17 on 3-pointers. Still got drafted very highly in the NBA. And you know what? He sort of disappeared as an NBA player, but I don't think he's been that bad, has he, Buddy Hield?
No, he's on the Kings. He's been solid. He's just on the Kings, and he's been in every trade that probably would have raised his profile, and then he's never been traded. So he just sits there in obscurity in Sacramento.
Well, with apologies to our good friend Grant Long, who's always a great participant whenever we have him on the show. We always love having Grant Long on. Grant Long, an original member of the Miami Heat, played 15 years in the NBA. If you hadn't heard his commentary on the program, I mean, just really good stuff. I mean, it comes right out, says what's on his mind, not afraid to say a few things that might irritate some people. Comes out, tells the truth. That's what we like in an analyst, and makes it fun also. I mean, Grant Long, he couldn't possibly have conceived of how horrifying it was, even after playing on the original Heat team, to get buried to the extent that Oklahoma did in that game. And, he might, not be in favor of my opinion that, which is more of basketball purgatory if you're in the NBA? Could it be the Detroit Pistons? Or, I mean, is it definitively the Sacramento Kings?
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Both teams had periods where, now the Kings never won anything, but they did get robbed that one year when they lost that playoff series to the Lakers, and they had some good seasons where they were a prominent factor as an NBA team in the West. But in general, I mean, it's just been absolute garbage in Sacramento, and it's not a pretty place, right? If I told you, hey, Lubie, I'm moving to California,
nice,
you would be excited for me, right? First thing you might say is, oh, yeah, I know you liked it there when you went to Encinitas and stayed in Encinitas for around those 4 days of being bludgeoned at Del Mar during the summer last year, which it couldn't have been any more magnificent. Or are you thinking, wow, Deef, you're going back to your early roots there in Los Angeles.
LA,
maybe starting the whole trip all over again. In L.A., La La Land is obviously a very, very beautiful place to live as long as you don't get stuck in traffic. Or maybe San Francisco, which wasn't really my bag, but, let's face it, it's a cultural city that has a lot going for it, and you're not that far from Napa. And, you can get out there, cruise around wine country, a lot of beautiful things there, a lot of beautiful scenery. You got the Golden Gate Bridge. You got the Golden State Warriors. You have Steph Curry. You have all kinds of things going on. Jimmy Garoppolo looks like he's going to keep throwing a rock there for the 49ers with an illustrious history. But if I told you, yeah, none of the above, I'm moving to Sacramento,
I'd laugh at you.
you start blowing taps. What are you talking about? Way to go, Defo. Why don't you just disappear from the face of the planet, go to some cowtown in the middle of nowhere in California, and realize, thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Just initiate and inaugurate my funeral, if that was a thought. So I'm going to give it to the Kings. Basketball purgatory. What else? I mean, is Oklahoma City basketball purgatory as an NBA player when you're playing in Oklahoma City? They do have a very loyal, I think, and fairly significant fan base of Oklahoma City people.
Yes.
But nobody else wants to go there. I mean, I can't even imagine. Right? Isn't that the place with the haunted hotel?
Oh,
Oklahoma
maybe.
City in the NBA, where the players believe that the hotel that most teams stay at has elements of being haunted and evidence of being haunted as well.
Yeah.
It's possible. But, Sacramento, just an ugly place all the way around. Oh, literally. I mean, it's a dump. There's no question about it. I mean, there's nothing about California that is indigenous and or indicative of living in Sacramento. Nothing. None of it. There may be surf there. I don't know. That's possible. But I would imagine the water is freezing fucking cold. All right. And don't make fun of my hair, by the way, Lubie. I might have to come right across the screen there and slap you in the face like Will Smith. All right, here are your headlines. And Tony's going to join us later on. So we'll go over a lot of things with Tony Segreto, Old School, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and Catholic Health Services. But wouldn't you know it, guy goes out to the putting green at Augusta National. I don't even know if he had a putter with him. I think he was just walking around the grounds there. And then here it is. I mean, the most insignificant move
there it is.
of Tiger Woods.
Oh,
and
God.
while Putin is on the front page, Tiger Woods is on the back page of my New York tabloid here, my beloved Bible of journalistic integrity, the New York Post. Now, we know the rest of the Post is pretty much garbage, at least as far as I'm concerned, and the way they report and cover news. It's a right-wing propaganda sheet for Rupert Murdoch. Mike Mayo, the gambling gourmet, has pointed that out many times, that the guy doesn't mind losing like $20 million a year because this is essentially sending out the news portion of the New York Post, and the editorial section is very much like dropping leaflets from an airplane. If you were the Los Hermanos, what was the Brothers of Freedom or whatever, where they used to drop the leaflets there on Miami Beach? Yep. We must free Havana. Yes, and they had a point. I mean, that was a legitimate point, but leaflets is not necessarily the way to go. This would be the equivalent of dropping like a zillion leaflets on New York City when it comes to the news. But the sports section is great, and yet dominated. Tiger plays a practice round at Augusta and grabs all the headlines from yesterday's sports activity. Right? You had a tremendous game in the NBA between Milwaukee and the 76ers. 118-116 was the final. You had Antetokounmpo, the Greek, blocking a shot of Joel Embiid, who very likely could be the MVP in the NBA this year. And so could Antetokounmpo, couldn't he? I mean, why is he being ignored? It's amazing sometimes, like a team gets recognition, like Milwaukee did, finally winning a championship. They have the Greek, who's what? Did he win MVP last year? I want to say yes.
2 MVPs in a row? He definitely won it 2 years
in a row, yeah.
I think he won back-to-back MVPs. Oh, no, last year. Jokic won the MVP last year.
Jokic, yeah, you're right. Nikola Jokic.
Player of the year, I think, last year, Giannis.
All right, but why isn't he being talked about as a possible MVP this year? I mean, you have Jokic, obviously, is getting consideration. He had a monster year going. I don't know how he's done of late. I haven't followed it that closely because the steam seemed to shift to Joel Embiid.
Yes.
And yet, wow, here's Antetokounmpo with a block late in the ballgame of an Embiid putback attempt after just an absolute boulder was thrown up there by James Harden of the 76ers. And these two teams are battling for now what seems like a very significant piece of territory, and that would be, Mike Lubitz, the number 1 seed in the East. I think you would have to think that would be significant, no? Because 8 seeds don't beat 1 seeds in NBA basketball.
Problem is, this 8 seed is the Brooklyn Nets, and Kyrie Irving now can play everywhere, and the Heat just lost by 30 to the Brooklyn Nets. So I'm almost like, here.
Oh, you would rather drop out of the number 1 seed. Because you're that type of fan. You don't want to see your team do well for fear that they may get a bad matchup. I like that.
I didn't care about it before, but the way the Heat have sort of struggled, I would rather them have the Cavs in the first round. Like, there's a big difference between the Cavs and the Nets Like, it's not like normal. Okay, whatever. It is what it is. You're going to see them at some point. No, you might not. Like, the Nets might not
Yes.
be later. Like, let someone else deal with their garbage and then just get by them. Like,
Nets are very Jekyll and Hyde-esque, though,
yes,
are they not?
Yes.
Very Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, they'll play a great game like they did against the Heat,
And the
look
next night-
dominant, and then go out and lose on their home court with Kyrie making his home debut.
Yes.
And he has 16 points in the ball game. Lakers might not make the playoffs. That's kind of interesting. Pretty good chance, right? LeBron hasn't been playing the last couple of games, and Anthony Davis. I mean, when he does come back, there should be an over-under on how many games. Like, it would be like 2 and a hook before he's back on the injured list again. A shame, really, because guy plays his eyeballs out him, and he really goes out there and competes. He's not one of those guys. I guess with the Pelicans, was he sulking a little bit? Well, was that part of the problem? Did he start to sulk because New Orleans was like a lousy team? And Anthony Davis didn't have a whole lot of support there. But when he got to the Lakers, you always see effort from this guy, do you not? It's not like he's Alex Caruso when he was with the Lakers, but, I mean, he gives it a good, solid shot in there, and maybe to his detriment because he's always tripping over somebody's feet and falling to the ground, and then next thing you know, he's out for 38 games, and the Fire Frank Vogel crowd, gets very, very vocal at Los Angeles at the Staples Center, and we got to fire Frank. I'm not sure. What's a guy supposed to do, right? Your team is built around 3 guys with very little depth and supporting cast that doesn't really seem to fit the equation, right? It's the usual square peg round hole with the supporting cast of the Lakers. In fact, it was a nice illustration yesterday of what's wrong by Scoop Skolnick when he was on the show. Ethan Scoop Skolnick, 5 Reasons Sports Network, one of our other platforms for this show, the Defo show that we have on Ion Channel. Doing very well there, by the way, Lubie, with the local crowd. Nice to see some numerology being generated. And he was saying that if the Lakers still had the guys that they traded away to get the group that they have now, they'd be far better off in supporting LeBron James than the group that they have now.
Yes.
They had, some really, Ingram was with their team. Kyle Kuzma's playing well since he's left the Los Angeles Lakers. You have any number of others.
Lonzo Ball was a borderline all-star.
Lonzo Ball, was playing great for Chicago before. I don't know. Has he been back in the lineup at all? Has he come back, Lonzo Ball, for the Chicago Bulls? But and he was another guy. I mean, what's going on in New Orleans there? The Final Four is going to take place in NOLA, one of my favorite places to visit. Short visits to New Orleans are always a lot of fun, although there aren't enough casinos there. You need a little variety in casino action. In other words, if you're ice cold in one casino and you're at a casino destination, which I consider New Orleans. See, that's really sad, right? Great city with a tremendous history. The culinary field there is just incredible, right? I mean, the landscape there for food is amazing, Libby, right? You can walk into any place, whether it's on Bourbon Street or anywhere else, and walk into a place that looks like a shambles of a restaurant. Looks like you wouldn't even go in there to buy a soda, and the food is absolutely dynamite. It's fantastic. You can't go wrong there. Yep. Now, I mean, you may, you're going to need some kind of medication. That's for sure. And it might be wise to have a cardiologist on call. Our good friend Andy probably wouldn't fare that well in New Orleans because it's a sodium bloodbath. A sodium bloodbath, people, when you go there. You can't necessarily taste the salt, but remember Emerald? You throw like a whole thing of Morton salt into a pot of stew and go, bam! And the people would stand up. Yeah, wow. Standing ovation for a pinch of salt. But it wasn't a pinch. He would dump the whole thing in there, right? And that's what they do in New Orleans. They don't care. Right? I mean, they don't want to live that long, right? They don't care, right? They just
They don't give a shit.
Listen to a little Dr. John. Even he checked out at a fairly young age, right? I was in the right place, and this is a story of my life, but it must have been the wrong time, Mike Lubitz. Right place, wrong time. All right, many other things happening. So the Tiger thing stole the headlines.
Why?
Is he going to play in the Masters? And you know what's good about that for me, because I like to bet on the Masters. Although he ruined me that year that he came back and won the Masters. What was that? Was that 2015? It's a while ago.
No, it can't be that long ago.
Wasn't that long? Yeah, I mean, I remember I went maybe 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it was, when he won the Masters. Impossible to conceive of Tiger Woods winning the Masters at that time, and even more so now. Although he may, and I don't think he's going to be, cruising around the course there. 3 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I don't think it was that long ago. I remember it recently because we had written him off again, and then he out of nowhere won the fucking Masters, and it was annoying.
Oh, and he mowed down like 3 of the guys that I had money on, including Francesco Molinari.
Sorry.
And I remember that year I went to Tampa. I was visiting some friends in Tampa with the Mustang because we went to see the Tampa Bay Blues Festival, which is a pretty good show. And, it was pouring rain all around the country in that area, Georgia, and in the South, including Tampa, was getting drenched. And remember, they had to have the final round. They moved it up to they started it at some ridiculously early time in the morning. They had the top players out there because they knew it was going to be pouring rain later on in the afternoon. And so they got everybody out there. And I didn't realize the tournament had already started. And I have 3 or 4 guys at odds of probably 20 to 1 or better in contention to win this thing. And Tiger's nowhere. I mean, it wasn't like he was out of contention, but it didn't look like he was in a position and going into the final round to win the tournament. So then I realized, oh, my God, they've started this thing. I'm seeing some scores come across on a crawl. I'm watching TV before we get out there to go to this music festival. And I'm thinking, wow, this thing is already on. Are you kidding me? So I turn on CBS, and sure enough, there it is. And I turn in just in time to see all of my guys shank balls into the woods at like 14 or 15, and whatever hole it was that was the turning point of that tournament. And then Tiger gets up there and whoosh, sends one right down the middle, and all of a sudden he's in command of the tournament, and he goes on and wins it. And then you had the big crowds coming in behind him, and it looked like remember the opening of the show, the Texas Rangers? I don't know if you remember that. It wasn't like the baseball team. I'm talking about like the
that show.
Cowboy Police or whatever they were there that supposedly was still in action in Texas until like yesterday, according to Ted Cruz. And they would fan out, and then all the people would be coming in behind him. It's kind of like when Forrest Gump was running. And all the people started to gather from all over the place. Next thing you know, he's got like 1,000 guys. Rocky Balboa, same thing. Balboa did it.
Yeah.
He's running down the lonely streets of Philadelphia there. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And even the music suggests he's going to get knocked out in the first 30 seconds by Apollo Creed. Puts the raw eggs, just like I do every morning, in a plastic cup that he had stolen from some bar. And drinks like 6 of them. Remember that? Boom, boom. Puts him in there, drinks him, and then the jog he starts out with was so slow, and he's wearing like an ugly-looking sweatsuit, gray, couldn't be any more ordinary, and a pair of high black Converse All-Star sneakers.
Yep,
and that's how he starts out. And the next thing you know, boom, 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 he looks like Muhammad Ali in there, which of course he was facing what was supposed to be a Muhammad Ali character in the Great Apollo Creed. But it was ugly. I mean, starting out like that. And that's the way we would be starting a workout. Don't you think, I don't know, is that what's going to happen with Tiger? Do you think he even plays? If he plays at the Masters, he's not going to do one of those Arnie Palmer deals, is he? Or he plays the first 2 rounds, shoots a 93. They shave a few points off the scorecard there because it's Tiger Woods. Right? They were hiding the scorecard from Rinaldi, so he doesn't get a chance to see it. Oh, Tiger! I wouldn't mind seeing. I'm actually like more of a fan of Tiger Woods than I was before. I enjoy, riding the cape of a superstar. I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, whether you like the guy or not, when somebody's on a run like Tiger Woods was and dominates the game to the extent that he did, you can't help but have some level of admiration for the guy's play. True? I mean, would you agree with that?
I understand how great he was. I just always wasn't sure if he was better than Jack Nicklaus, but what he did was made golf worth talking about, which it hadn't been for years.
Worth talking about. Look at this. I mean, the guy.
That's insane.
I don't even know if he took a shot.
No, he didn't. He just walked. I heard someone saying something about just walking through the grass. I'm like, walking through the grass? Who gives a shit about someone walking through the grass? I didn't realize it was Tiger. Like, I think
he's walking like Verbal Kent in The Usual Suspects.
He's not. He's not playing. Like, he hasn't played anything at all. He's going to magically play the Masters. What?
He did participate in that father and son thing, didn't he? I mean, he's played a little bit and indicated that maybe he's capable of going out there and walking the course. I mean, the guy's walking around on one leg. I mean, proverbial Chester from Gunsmoke reference applies here, even though it's so ancient, so archaic that nobody under 80 gets your jokes, Defo. And I shouldn't be making jokes about Tiger's limp because, let's face it, I don't want to have him come over here and go Will Smith on me.
He might slap you.
That was a weird follow through in that punch, wasn't it, from Will Smith for a guy
Oh,
who trained like with Angelo Dundee,
yep,
so that he
yep,
could play Muhammad Ali. Which
yep.
did he do a good job as Muhammad Ali? I'm not sure.
Wasn't he
I don't
nominated
really
for
remember
the
that
Oscar?
movie.
He didn't win it, but I think he was nominated for it. So I guess he did an okay job.
He looked apart. If they needed somebody to play Muhammad Ali, they need to go to the tennis world and get that Joe Willie Sanga,
Oh yeah,
who was in the Miami Open. Looks exactly, I mean, a dead ringer for a young Muhammad Ali. There's a fighter out there on the scene whose name I don't remember it, but he was on one of the cards on Showtime on Saturday night, and he actually wears the old Ali shorts.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he has the white and black shorts with Ali on it, and he really is a dead ringer for Muhammad Ali. Pretty good fighter, too. I think he was undefeated. And he was on a Showtime card this last week. He was in like the co-main event, and looked pretty good. A very, very decent fighter. Big-time jab, just like Muhammad Ali had, although doesn't hold his hands as low. And, yeah, just looks like him. But Joe Willie Sanga would be my guy
Oh, he
to
looks.
play in the Muhammad Ali story.
He looks like he'd be Ali's grandson. Like he has the exact same face.
Yeah, there's a guy that's kind of morphing into you on TV also. You're probably not familiar with on TVG. And he Simon Bray is the guy's name. Check this guy out. He's morphing. Polyman said he's morphing into a Lubie lookalike.
Lubie. Okay.
Very nice guy too. I've met him. And he really is. A very, very competent commentator and very professional. He works pretty real well with our buddy Todd Schrupp there on TVG. Simon Bray, but he's starting to look like you a little bit, Lubie, and maybe even in terms of voice pitch and sound, he's starting to sound a little bit like you on these TVG broadcasts. Speaking of TVG, the Florida Derby is coming up on Saturday. The Florida Derby at Gulfstream Park, one of the premier 3-year-old preliminary races and lead-in races to the Kentucky Derby. Always a big indicator of what's happening on the East Coast when it comes to racing. A lot of the big outfits are here for the championship meet at Gulfstream Park, and we've seen some of these 3-year-olds trot out their stuff there at Gulfstream, and also at Tampa, where I believe is it Great Causeway? Something Causeway is going to be, I believe, the favorite for this race after winning the Tampa Bay Derby, which was just a couple of weeks ago. So a quick turnaround if this horse runs in the Florida Derby. But Kate Bradar is going to join us before the Derby on Friday. Our Degenerate Friday show is going to be action-packed this week, so you won't want to miss that because we'll have some steam on the tournament from the professor who's been on fire. And then he also has his big board. Mark Lawrence is going to return to the program with his numerology and handicapping theory that is unique to playbooksports.com. And Mark Lawrence, who's been doing it for a long, long time, and is very, very good, as you guys know. People would call, right, and ask who Mark Lawrence picked. Remember? And we got that call off the air from some guy that was actually trying a case in the Broward County Courthouse.
Yep.
And he called, and you kept thinking it was the police looking for me, that I had done something.
Yep.
As it kept registering Broward County Courthouse.
Yes.
The caller ID at the radio station. And you finally answered the phone, and it was some guy who was a public defender. And he said, hey, listen, I had a trial going this morning when Mark Lawrence was on. Can you tell me who he picked?
I thought it was a setup. I thought it was
testimony to greatness, yes. That was great. I mean, they're calling from the courthouse. I mean, just, Judge, excuse me, can we get a little recess here? No, there's some new evidence.
I was like,
and then you go outside to a phone booth, and, I guess people have a cell phone now, but, you go outside and then picture the guy going to the phone booth and going, hey, who did he pick? Lubie, who did he pick?
That's exactly
those were NFL games, but he'll give us something on these games coming up. Does it seem like, I mean, what am I missing here? With Justin Moore out for Villanova, they didn't overwhelmingly impress me. I know that Jay Wright is a great coach, and he's run a fine program there for many, many years. They were dynamic, winning what? They won like 2 NCAA titles in a short period of time, right? Yes. Did they win like 2 out of 3 years?
2 out of 3. They won, lost 1.
Yeah. And it was great. I mean, watching them that 1 year that they won it in Houston, was fantastic. The game over North Carolina, one of the all-time classics. Michael Jordan is standing up. And what did they call the stadium there in Houston?
Reliant? Isn't it Reliant? NRG or Reliant? One of them.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, and there's Jordan in one of the front row seats. And, North Carolina, it's that miracle shot, and they go ahead. Only to have Archie Diaconou and who was the guy that made the shot? I only remember the guy with the impossible name.
Wasn't it
Archie
Chris
Diacono.
Jenkins? Was his name Chris Jenkins? I don't know.
Possible, yeah. I mean, and they had rehearsed that play. That was the amazing thing about it, right? Where they came down, hit a three right before the buzzer, and beat North Carolina. That was fantastic. Now we know this guy can coach, but can he coach a depleted Villanova team that wasn't running away and hiding from anybody? I guess the prohibitive factor is we did see Miami hold Kansas, and Kansas had a couple of struggles, didn't they?
Yes.
In the tournament so far. Creighton gave them a hard time, and somebody else did also.
Yes.
Kansas. So it's not like they've been overwhelmingly dominant. If you only saw the second half against Miami, you'd figure they're a cinch to win the championship, correct?
Yeah.
But there was a first half where they were limited to 29 points.
Yes.
And looked like losers. I mean, it really appeared, and you're always thinking, okay, the first 4 or 5 minutes of this second half are going to give you every indication of what's going to happen in this ball game. And you're hoping that the Hurricanes were able to maybe open up that 6-point lead, and somehow 15 minutes left in the second half, maybe they're up 9.
Yep.
But unfortunately, they were down 19 by that point as they got blitzkrieged. And, if that's all you saw about Kansas, they would be a cinch to win the tournament, and certainly just an overwhelming favorite to beat Villanova. But the line is only 4 and a hook, Lubie. Do you find that to be somewhat prohibitive in terms of, thinking that this is an automatic blowout?
Well, people aren't taking into account
a low 4 and a hook.
The people are taking into account that Villanova's won a lot recently, and that Jay Wright's a great coach. They're not taking into account the injuries. That's to me, that feels like that's the regular person who is not handicapping it. But again,
they didn't have a ton of offensive firepower to begin with, so they lose this guy who was a key scorer. That can't help their cause.
No, I think Kansas should win in a walk, but we'll see. You never know with these freaking tournaments, and that's why these guys get paid a lot of money. These great coaches find a way a lot of the time to stem the tide. So we'll see.
4 and a hook. All right, I'm going to check here. Now, this is yesterday's news tomorrow when it comes to the point spread. But I would be amazed that line didn't go to 5 already. What do you think, Libby? Here we go. NCAA tournament. 4 and a hook.
4 and a hook still.
And actually, the only line movement was Duke is now also a 4 and a hook, where they were 4-point favorites over North Carolina. So what do you think?
I went to Kansas Duke.
Can you live with the 2 dogs, or you just go ahead and blow it all on the chalk? I have a chance. You know me. I love my 2-team and 3-team parlays.
I had parlayed the 2 chalks.
So there's no way I would just bet the Kansas game, even though I think Kansas should be favored by more points over Villanova. The one detrimental thought in that process is that Villanova doesn't allow a lot of points. So if a game is going to be in the 50s, 4.5 is like a lot of points. Proportionally. It's not like, you're going to see like a 90-83 score in this ball game. That's very unlikely.
No.
So I don't know, but I would think Kansas is, based on what we saw against Miami, easily 4.5 points better than Villanova. So people, on that advice alone, I would suggest you unload on Villanova. Yes.
Oh, and the horse's name is Classic Causeway.
Classic Causeway. Very good. How'd you figure that out, Louis?
I looked it up. You asked, and I was like, all right, I have to know. I'm like, I don't think Causeway.
Classic Causeway. Very good. And that horse, what was impressive, winning the Tampa Bay Derby, which, whereas you might have thought of that as a minor league B-grade race many years ago, lately, and of late, Tampa has upgraded the stock that they have racing there, especially during this time of the year. And, I guess they only have like one long meet at Tampa. And then they come back a couple of other times for some fugazi stuff. But, they'll have like a 3-day meet to be in compliance with some bizarre parimutuel law that's been on the books since 1903 here in Florida. Hey, Ron, why don't you do something about that? Huh?
He's too busy worrying about
this guy will sign any Meshuggah bill, without even thinking about it. Of course I'm in on that. Yeah, okay. Bringing us back into the Stone Age. One signature at a time.
Where's about yelling about ending a mandate that's going to end in 3 weeks because that's not a waste of time. And what kids can say out loud in a world that's more open-minded. Like, he doesn't worry about anything that actually helps our daily lives. He just worries about stuff that 90% of the people don't give a shit about.
No, I'm surprised his face isn't emblazoned on, when you're driving to Orlando. Unfortunately, you have to take that 3-hour drive same direction, right? You're on the turnpike there, and you see all of the pro-life signs.
Yep.
I'm surprised DeSantis, isn't also, just buying half of that sign to, continue to proliferate his campaign. Unbelievable. All right. We don't want to get into that. I mean, that's too deep of a political topic here. And we have Harvey Fialkov coming up here on the show. Harvey, unable to join us yesterday. Well, he probably could have
He
done it,
was.
but
I
we had to
was.
ace him out there because we had, and my friend Ira, the Met fan, was in love with the fact that we had Art Shamsky on the show.
There you go.
And seemed like a real good guy. Art Shamsky all the way around, well liked by virtually everybody. And then Larinaga was brilliant as always. I mean, just inspiring to talk to the great Jim Larinaga. Scoop Sokolnik, very good. If you go back to the archives, if you missed it yesterday, very good on his dissection of what was happening with the Miami Heat and the whole Jimmy Butler thing, which I didn't realize that Jimmy Butler was such a sourpuss this year. I mean, he always has that face on. But
Yes.
didn't you think that he was in some kind of harmony with the rest of the guys on the team and with Eric Spoelstra, and that he wasn't going to be, this mysterious problem child that he had been in the past? Jimmy Butler, I thought he was all in with this whole Heat culture, and that he was the leader, the guru of this stuff. That when they had their Heat culture meetings, and Riley came in and started burning the incense like he was Phil Jackson. It worked for Phil. And they started chanting, Nam Yoho Renge Kyo, Nam Yoho Renge Kyo. And then they got involved in this whole thing that it is us, it is 15 of us against the world. And we don't care what anybody says. And we're not out to make friends. We're going to go out there and skin you alive. Can I say that? Or is that like.
Probably not. I have no idea what you can say.
Referring to snakes, not any kind of Native American activity that was, so wrongfully depicted in cowboy movies for years and years and years. But I grew up on that stuff, right? We thought this is what these people did. Shows you how an education is a terrible thing to waste. Anyway, I mean, I thought he was all in. I really did. That surprised me yesterday when the Scoop Skolnick was saying that this is at the root of what became a very public incident when, Spoelstra, it's like, give me something to throw. And he grabbed the clipboard. Somebody handed him a clip. I said, no, give me something. And then he fired it on the ground. And he goes out there and he's like taking on Jimmy Butler, who would be a bigger advocate of making sure Jimmy Butler was happy than when Eric Spoelstra.
Oh, no, but and Wade talked yesterday. Dwayne Wade, who had a couple of these altercations in his times with the Heat, he said, look, this is what happened. He texted Spoelstra right after. He's like, oh, so you guys are playoff ready. And Spoelstra laughs and he's like, pretty much. Like, this is what happens when you are a family and you are in the pursuit of greatness. Like, you get passionate, and that's what happened. And hopefully, I'm hoping it wakes this fucking team up because they were in a malaise. Butler said it. He's like, look, we were in this, like, he didn't use the word malaise, but it felt like he meant malaise where we just assumed we were going to win. And that doesn't happen. Like, these are still professionals you're playing. So you have to go out there and give a shit, and they weren't. They were sort of fucking around, and it feels like that'll wake them up. We've seen a lot of these teams have that. Like,
we'll see. I mean, the Kings will wake you up when they're on the schedule, which is what happened the other night. So
tonight it ain't the Kings, so we'll see.
Real test here. I feel like my friend Jim Sarney, our good friend Jim Sarney. Now you can consider Jim Sarney a good friend because you broke bread together. Well, what was in bread? You would have been better off if it was a piece of white bread, but it was a horrifying Skyline chili platter, which you guys must have really liked that.
It was fine.
I did spend the day on the toilet. I don't know if this was coincidental or not, but remember I took most of it home. And then the next day, for some bizarre reason, I decided, well, let's see what happens after it's been in the refrigerator for a while.
You did try to eat it. Oh, no.
And then, I microwaved it, and I tried it again, and I actually had a more favorable opinion than I did at any previous time until literally the next 24 hours, Lubie. It's very appropriate that this place, the old location of Skyline Chili has become a lubrication place. Because, my God, I mean, if you wanted to clean yourself out, never mind that hideous stuff you have to drink for 24 hours before a colonoscopy. All I have to do is, like, feed you a 5x5 or whatever that is, the 5-way. And your bowels will be clean as a whistle, my friend. I mean, from the 24 hours you spend on the toilet seat. Go right in and see Dr. Lopez here, and he'll take care of you. Oh, yeah, we found a few polyps. They always find something, don't they? You haven't had a colonoscopy yet. Shouldn't you? You're nowhere near the age, Libby. What am I talking
about? Not 40 yet. I don't know. Is it 40 or 50? Because I thought it was 50.
I think 50 is when they recommend that you start having them. 50.
I'm not there yet, thank God.
Might be 45. I don't know. It's a great idea. I mean, look, it's really, it's no problem outside of the day before. I mean, the procedure itself really is nothing. You get a really nice sleep and you wake up and you go, where the fuck am I? And then they come out and they say, well, of course, we found a few polyps, but none of them appear to be of any significance. So we took those out and we'll see you in 5 years. Very nice. That's good. And you're very happy to hear that because you're thinking, I may not live another 5 years, so this may be the last time I have to go through this crap.
Jesus, Defo.
No, they made the stuff that you drink. It tastes a lot better than it used to. It's not as horrifying as it used to be. It was like drinking milk of magnesia before, and like a lot of it. And then, of course, it's Splat City. I mean, for like 24 hours. But they made the stuff a lot more tolerable. But they could use Skyline Chili. I really believe they could do that. All I can say is those Panthers better win. Speaking of Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, the Panthers better win that first playoff series.
They were impressive last night.
I know you're going to run out on me when the check comes.
I'm not running. I'm in on it. You guys have told me I don't have to be. I'm in on it. I think.
How could they not win a playoff series? They're playing great. They annihilate the Montreal Canadiens last night. They score 7 goals. This Jonathan Huberdeau, who we've been waiting for, I mean, he's been good the last several seasons, and he was never terrible, Huberdeau.
No,
he was one of their big picks, draft picks. What was he, like a 2-3 pick overall, something like that?
Oh, no, he was a monster draft pick, and he had a monster rookie year, and then his sophomore season, he sort of slumped, and that was when we were doing the show with Goldie, so we gave him a lot of shit. We're like, what about your Hoobie-Dooby-Doo? And then after that, he became a monster. Now he's like a top 5 or top 10 player in all of hockey. He's like fucking.
He is the hockey equivalent of John Stockton. I mean, this cat can pass the puck.
Yep.
He really can. And he has now a career high in points. I think he has 93 points on the season. He had a couple of goals in the game last night. So not only did they wipe out the Montreal Canadiens, but I think all of the Canadiens, did you see this on 95 today? They're all headed north. Yeah, baby. They saw the Canadians come down here last night and get shellacked, and then it was straight back to Quebec. Je me souviens. Jim Sarney was asking me why I thought a la carte were the 3 ugliest words in French. But I was wrong about that, Jim. I apologize. It's je me souviens, because when you see those words on the license plate in front of you, you start seeing red. This may be, is it unique to South Florida, this whole thing with people from Quebec?
Yeah.
And I want to preface this by saying, not preface, but, put a little postscript on this thing and say, we have many fine French-Canadian friends.
Yeah, we're fine. They're fine as humans. They're just horrible on the road and they don't tip. It is what it is.
Worst drivers. I mean, I don't know. What is it like? Is there like a crash every minute in Montreal? Got to look like the West Islip Speedway.
Shirley hates them too when it comes to the roads. So between the two of you, whenever I see Canada on a car, I'm ready to yell at them before they've even done anything.
It's funny. I mean, they should just be blasting out of the speakers the old Wild World of Sports theme song, right? Okay, today we've got Acapulco cliff diving. We'll see the great Greg Louganis, and we have from the West Islip Speedway Demolition Derby today. Who didn't love watching a great Demolition Derby?
I don't know. Demolition.
Did you dig that Demolition Derby?
I've seen like old clips of it. It's great.
All right. Speaking of demolitions, we're about to take a bold step on the show here and bring you Harvey Fialkov. Harvey was covering the Miami Open. That has been a dynamite tournament. I really think, even though some of the big stars aren't there, there are big enough stars there that it's been very significant. And some of the action has been just absolutely, both the women and the men. I will say this, and people are always trying to talk about the equality of women and men's coverage in sports and the equality of play and pay and consideration. But women's professional tennis is as close to replicating the men's game as any women's sport to men's sport.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a fair statement? I mean, these women are knocking the snot out of the ball, man. And it is unbelievable how they play.
Since Sampras and Agassi's era, when tennis was right there with any sport in America, women's tennis has been way better than men's. I mean, with Serena and the end of the Graf era and Venus, and then this group now that you guys are big fans of that I don't really pay attention to, the Russians.
See, I don't agree that it's not the same necessarily as the men are hitting the ball so hard, Lubie, that it's almost impossible to conceive.
It's different, but like it's not. There's not amazing like watching, and Sarni's gonna kill me. But watching women's basketball, it does not look like the same sport as watching men's basketball. It looks like 1950s men's basketball. It just does.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be mean. Outside of Griner, no one's done.
There's a lot of slop. I mean, they've improved, but there's still a lot of slop.
They're very fundamentally sound, and the women play good ball, but they're not athletic. The athleticism is just totally different. Women's tennis and men's tennis, the actual tennis, outside of the speed of the serve,
very
it's
close. Comparable.
Like,
no question. Yeah.
The
style of play, yeah. I mean, the power game now with the women is just sensational, and a lot of parity there too.
And in the 90s, like, yes, men's tennis was big, but the women's tennis with Rancho Sanchez Vicario and Sella's still there, and Steffi Graf and Capriati making her appearances.
Much more popular, yeah.
Mary Pierce, and then you had Lindsay Davenport. Like, women's
tennis. Listen to you rattle off like 10
yeah.
tennis players.
Oh, no, in the 90s, women's tennis was huge. Like, I remember it being a big freaking deal. And the men's was there too. Like, they were always neck and neck. Like, you didn't divide between the two of them. You just assumed they were that. You would watch Saturday and you would watch Sunday. You would watch the Grand Slam final for both equally and not divide between them. Like, it was huge.
Well, I mean, the action in Miami has been spectacular. So Harvey's going to come on just a minute to talk about that, and no doubt we'll have some opinions about, whether or not Cashman should cough over the money to Aaron Judge like right now. Give him your house, whatever you have, Brian, and make sure this man is a Yankee for life, Aaron Judge, who right now, I mean, he is the Mick of the modern era.
Oh,
I'm talking Mickey Mantle, not, that's not a disparaging remark about Irish people.
Field stuff. Like, he's like clean off the field too. Like, he doesn't do any other crap.
Oh, no, he's great, man. He married a woman. It was kind of like when Vladimir Klitschko was married to Hayden Panettiere or whatever the girl's name was. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've since divorced, but I mean, and it was really the long and the short of it, right? It was like watching Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito in Twins. All right, don't forget about the good people at Hialeah Park at any time, because they always have something great going on. I don't think you can forget about these guys, because they've been there forever, and now with the casino, it has to be 7-8 years. They've been operating the casino. It's a fantastic job that they're doing there. It's just a dazzling casino. Big jackpots being paid out, and the machines are very consistent. So you don't walk in there and just feel like you got hit in the face with a blunt object there, or a spiked steel ball coming out of the chute there in the Gladiator movie. You feel good. You enjoy the vibe, and you start to feel like a winner as soon as you enter the grounds there at Hialeah Park. I mean, you pull up to the valet, they treat you like a champ. Get a player's card. It gives you all kinds of entitlements and amenities that are very unique to Hialeah Park. They're very generous with that. Champion Simulcasting Room, a great place to take in the Florida Derby. Wow, I mean, I don't know if they're charging money out of Gulfstream, but you can waltz in the Champions for free there, or maybe pay a couple of bucks and get yourself a private desk there. You might be sitting next to the great Dave Gurgles Gurgley. Hey, Dave, how you doing? You got any trivia questions? Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. So it's a great place, and great food and drink all over the place. You can play poker there and party into the night. Open till 5 a.m. on the weekends and 3 a.m. on the weeknights. You can't beat it. Great entertainment all the time. Special events at HialeahPark.com. Make sure you make your plans, clear your social calendar, and spend some time at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, Harvey Fialkov coming up in just a minute here on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz, Ion Channel around the world, and Google the Defo Show. You can find all of the stuff that we've done here on Ion Channel over the last, it's getting on 5 months now. I could hear Jack right in my head saying, it's about time we started making some money. That'll happen. It'll all come. I feel it coming together. And we'll be back with Harvey in a moment. Now that.
The time.
You feel him saying that? I felt it.
I feel it.
No, I don't blame him. It's 7:48. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Francois Lebec, you're on 940 Wins, 1230 The Zone. Good morning, Francois.
Listen to me one moment, please. You fat ass. Tired of the way you speak about the Canadians? We are good people. We're here vacationing on the beach. We bring our dollars here, and you're always putting down the Canadians, and me personally am sick and tired of your crap. And you're not losing weight. I saw you the game. You're fat like a pig. The other thing that I would like to say is that you're going to throw out some baseball. I will be there personally to boo you out of the stadium. We come here as good people, friendly people, nice people. We don't need you to speak like you speak, Jeffrey, the fat-ass Deforrest.
The Defo Show, featuring Lubie. We now return to The Defo Show.
There's a caravan of Je me souviens license plates going north right now after the Canadians got shellacked last night by the Panthers, and that was it. Right? Okay, Andre, get in the car. We're going back home.
That'd be great.
Right? Snow is starting to clear out there in Montreal. They're all going back. All right, speaking of going back, we go back to one of the great sports writers ever to participate in any of the coverage that was taking place in the South Florida Sun-Sentinel for many years. He covered everything. And just recently with the Miami Herald, he was covering the Miami Open as a very valued freelance writer out there. Probably the #1 go-to guy for any newspaper that's stuck for somebody to go cover something. And we welcome to the show Harvey Fialkov, who, Harvey, what happened? You didn't do the hair today? You weren't up for the video? How are you, my friend? Where are you?
No, I haven't shaved in 3 days. I didn't want to scare your viewers. But first of all, by the way, the Palm Beach Post hired me to do the Delray Beach Open. The Herald hired me to do the Miami Open.
Nice.
The only people I don't hear from is the Sun-Sentinel, who I gave 25 years of loyalty to.
That's how this business goes. Yeah.
Right? Hey, by the way, Pete, the Panthers did not shellac the Canadians last night. They blew a 4-1 lead. It was 4-4 in the third period. The Canadians sucked. But that said, they're having a great year. And Jonathan Huberdeau, like you guys said, he's the best passer. I go back to the Pete Maravich days. He goes over between the legs, behind the back passes. His teammates have to be ready for it, or else they're going to get a puck in the mouth and lose some more of their sticklets that they call their teeth. But the guy's an amazing pass. He's third in the league in scoring. He's a superstar. And so is Barkov. He's on his way to a 30-goal season. The best balanced Panther team that they've ever had, including 96 when they went to the playoffs, to the Stanley Cup Finals and lost to the Avs. But it's exciting. And as far as the Heat, before I get to tennis, Jimmy Butler was at the tennis matches Sunday afternoon, pitching his coffee. I think he's drinking too much coffee because he's so irritable. And why is he at the tennis matches on a hot Sunday afternoon when he's got a game that night against the Nets? The ATP didn't want me to write it, but I did. And I think Jimmy Butler needs to get a little bit more serious about this playoff run and positioning. They don't want to be #1 because they don't want to play the Nets with KD, and now Kyrie Irving's allowed to play in New York. Thanks to the Yankees, who made them change the law that you don't have to be vaccinated if you're an athlete to play your respective sport. So the Nets owe the Yankees some gratitude for that, because I don't think Aaron Judge has been vaccinated. And let's get that big guy signed. Now, let's talk tennis. Talk to me, Deep. The greatest tennis tournament ever in South Florida is happening right now at the Miami Open, thanks to Steve Ross. Ask me something about tennis.
Well, I mean, a couple of things occurred to me, during your commentary there. But all right, let's get to the tennis match here as we are watching. I mean, you had several interesting articles. I wasn't able to access them because they wanted 99 cents for a 6-month subscription for me to be able to read the article that you had posted on Facebook. Oh, I forgot. I wanted to ask you if you want in. You mentioned the Panthers in your first comments.
Oh yeah, the
Do
bet.
you want in on the Mayo bet? The irascible Mike Mayo, who he covered the Panthers like their inaugural season. You'd think he would love the franchise, but he's become very negative. And he has bet us a dinner at Runway 84 that the Panthers will not win an opening round playoff series, that they won't win one series this year, which seems, the way the team has played this year, that seems almost completely preposterous to think that they won't get out of the first round. What do you think on that? Do you want in on the bet, and will you be joining us at Runway 84?
Yeah, I want some meatballs and martinis at Runway 84 on Mike Mayo.
Yep.
Because he's out of his mind.
Thank you. That's what we've been contending all along. Yes, about Mayo.
No, listen, unlike last year, guys, they don't have to go through the Lightning and Carolina in the first round because of the COVID. They had to play everyone in their own division. So they're going to get someone they could definitely handle in the first round. Second round, we'll worry about that when they get to. But you're right. Listen, it's a curse. 1996. I mean, how many years is that? 26? They're worse than the Dolphins in that regard. But that said, this is the year. They have 4 lines that could put the puck in the net. They're the best offensive team in hockey. And now they added some grit defensively with some of their late moves. I love Gudos out there. And Bobrovsky's playing like the guy he was a few years ago when he won the Vezina twice. And also they got the rookie Spencer Knight. So not a rookie anymore, but he's a dependable goalie right now. So they got the whole package. They don't even need a coach. Sorry. I mean, this guy Brunette, he's just standing there, doesn't do anything. Throw the puck out there, and this is one of the best teams in hockey. Take it to the bank, people. You're winning that bet, and I want a piece of it.
Okay, yeah, there's a chicken parm with your name on it. I think one of the specialties in the house there. And nothing like watching Harvey Fialkov eat, people. He rivals Lubie in that category. All right, let's talk about this tennis, because fascinating things. Now, the rise of Americans, we were talking about this a little bit yesterday, Harvey, where, it seems like they have, about 8 guys that are from maybe 13, where Taylor Fritz is, down to maybe 40, where this Brooksby guy has come out of nowhere, and he lost yesterday, but no disgrace losing to Medvedev, the number 1 overall seed, and maybe again the number 1 player in the world at the end of the tournament, quite possible. But the women have been sensational. You had this little 16-year-old girl, Fruitcake Kova or whatever her name was. Wow, I mean, she was something. Osaka seems to be back on her game, and all of a sudden she's sitting down doing interviews, and seems like she's laughing everything off, and she's very gracious, even in victory. And then you had your man Kyrgios in there until last night, when he threw a racket and broke the teeth of the chair umpire, I believe, to get thrown out. I don't know. Did he even finish that match? He was melting down completely. But a lot of great stuff and new players on the scene. So what was your overview of the tournament in Miami? What did you see down there when you were out there?
Well, it's good to see Kyrgios reaching some of his potential. Again, he had a little meltdown yesterday, but I really blame the chair umpire, Carlos Bernardus, on this one. He got a warning for a curse in the first set. Whoop-de-doo. I've done worse. But now it's 3-5 in the tiebreaker. And he had a snide comment to his team in the stands about one of his buddies could be a better umpire than Bernardus. And the sensitive umpire gives him a code in the tiebreaker. So now he's down 3-6 set point, and he just double faulted because he was pissed off. I mean, that is a ridiculous. I'm also an umpire in the weekends, guys. I let things slide in a tiebreaker unless it's really offensive and destructive and hurting somebody. That was a BS call by Bernardus. Now, in between the sets, he smashes his racket on his bag. He gets another coach, and now he's down 1-love in the second set. There were no service breaks at all. 7-6. Jannik Sinner is a great young player. The first time they played, a kid from Italy. And he was beatable yesterday. And Kyrgios let the umpire get into him. And at one point, the umpire says to the fans, I know you're all against me, but please, give me a break. What kind of umpire says this to the crowd? His walkie-talkie goes off in the middle of a serve by Sinner that Kyrgios returned. And then they had to play a let because the chair umpire didn't turn off his walkie-talkie, and that cost Kyrgios' service return. horrible umpiring, and then Kyrgios blasted the umpire, blasted the ATP in his press conference. I said a lot of these details to Michelle because she wasn't there yet, and so I got attribution in the Herald today and a payday, thankfully. I just went.
Oh, nice.
Today, I am covering the semifinals men's on Friday. Michelle has a wedding to go to, and I'll set up the women's final. But other than that, as you said, Jeep, the Americans are coming on. Taylor Fritz wins Indian Wells. I mean, he beats Rafa Nadal, who was wounded. He had like a broken rib, and the guy played. The guy will never retire in the middle of a match. He's such a class individual. But Taylor Fritz serves about $130. He was a great junior player. He's finally realizing his potential. And then we got this kid, Jensen Brooks, to be a quirky guy. He was serving for the set against Medvedev, 5-4, and he got broken and then kind of melted away. But Medvedev is a great player in his own right, even though he's from Russia. But so was my grandparents. I hold nothing against him. But we only have one American left in the tournament right now, and that's Jessica Pegula, who you know, parents, his father owns the Buffalo Sabres, the Buffalo Bills. She's literally playing on the Dolphins field today, and she's a Buffalo Bills owner, which I think is ironic. She said it felt kind of weird, but she's more of a Buffalo Sabres fan than she is a Bills fan. She lives in Boca Raton. She's kind of a hometown girl, wonderful young lady. Steve, if your parents were billionaires, would you be busting your ass, getting injured every year, and finally getting to the top 20 when you're 28 years old? So, I mean, hands off, I really love this young lady. She didn't have to play anything and work at all. And here she is. She has a chance to get into the semifinals today. But I think she's going to lose this lovely Spanish woman named Paula Pardosa. Spain is set for the next 20 years with Pardosa. And as we talked about yesterday in texting, Steve, this kid, Carlos Alcarez, beat Titi Paget.
Oh, wow. That kid is amazing.
Ever.
Yeah. That was a great match, and he ended up beating Tsitsipas, and those guys were firing rockets. I mean, 20-shot rallies where every shot, every ball was a howitzer. We have to run, Harvey. Congratulations. The byline's in the Herald. That's great. We'll look forward to your coverage in the Miami Herald of more Miami Open, which has been a spectacular tournament. I mean, really a veritable tennis bloodbath in virtually every match. It's been really, really great. And thanks so much for joining us here on the show. It's always a pleasure. And shave next time so we can see you.
Come on. You kidding me?
All right. Hey, Alcarez coming out party. He's going to beat Medvedev in the final. And Osaka is back. She's got a therapist now working with her. She's going to also prevail over, I believe, Iga Swiatek, the new number one, the Polish girl. Watch out for Hurkacz, another Polish guy who has a chance against Medvedev also tomorrow. Take care,
sounds
boys.
good. Harvey Fialkov there. Inside scoop on a lot of stuff there from Harvey. He did manage to get in some fetching about the Yankees.
Of course.
Although it was relatively minor.
Yeah.
I will say this, too. I mean, it's unfortunate that we live in a city here, South Florida, that is absolutely bereft of interest in Major League Baseball for some reason.
Yeah,
I know we have fans, and there are a lot of people that still follow the game. Tony Segreto is a big baseball fan. I'm not as much of a baseball fan as I was certainly as a kid when it was the number one game. I still enjoy it. And you think about times that you played the game and, how much fun it was and all the different things that are involved there and the velocity and the angles and the ability. The defense, though, being kind of drained out of the professional game, it's really unfortunate because these guys are spectacular defensive players. And then we had Art Shamsky on the show yesterday and one of the most, one of the greatest catches ever in World Series history was made by a guy who was a lumbering stiff, Ron Swoboda. And I don't know if you must have seen a clip of this at some point in your lifetime, Lubie, where he makes this diving catch coming forward and saves like the Mets' chances of winning that ball game. And you're thinking that's the beauty of the game. Here's a guy that's a defensive klutz, and he's the guy that's making the spectacular athletic play that saves the day. Just absolutely fantastic, as if he was Willie Mays, back to the plate off the bat of Vic Wertz. Making a catch and then whirling in one motion and throwing it. But you don't get that feeling so much from baseball anymore. At least I don't, in the way they play the game today. And, that's unfortunate. But New York Post, of course, once again, I hold it up with Tiger Woods on the back cover because Tiger Woods took a dump, and so he's going to play in the Masters now. That's a certainty. But they have like 8 pages of baseball coverage before you even get to anything else. And then, plenty of thorough dissection of other things. All right, let's get to Tony. He's brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants, Catholic Health Services. The great Tony Segreto going to join us, and we'll do a little old school with Tony Segreto. That's coming up in a moment here on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz returning with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:04.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto, brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest,
Good morning,
Mike Lubitz, and we welcome back to the program here. And it's great because it's been a couple of weeks for me. I was off when Tony last appeared on the show a week ago, Monday.
Were you off last week?
I was off to Atlantic City, New Jersey, where I am
Lubie
going.
and I had such a good time, we didn't even realize it.
Well, you know how that goes. I mean, there were, it wasn't like you were the guy on the tag team that was caught in the corner there, and the two guys were working on him while the referee was being distracted by
like this. Please tag me, please.
Yeah. Choking a guy to death there. So we got the tag team gang up on Tony Segreto today, going a little old school. How are you, Tony? You look great.
I'm doing awesome. I'm doing great. I'm doing absolutely great. Yeah, it was listen, I have to. I'm blessed. We're all blessed. We're doing a show like this. We're having fun. Our eyes are open. They're blinking. We're smiling. We're talking sports. What more could you possibly want out of life, for goodness sake?
We were going to rename the show Borrowed Time because most of the guys that are on the show
of course.
are on
Listen,
Borrowed Time.
You and I have been talking for 45 seconds, and the cynical downer part of the show starts already. So let's get it on. What else you want to say?
Well, how much did you prosper on your parlay of Canes men, Canes women in the first round of the tournament? I know you mentioned that.
I did well, but you know what? I have to just tell you something overall. I just thought the entire tournament was absolutely fabulous. I cannot wait for this weekend. I thought the games were, I thought the last couple were, I felt bad for Miami, but what a great run the Hurricane. Jim Larrañaga did such a wonderful job. And Miami, I think Miami finally has a pin on the map about being a team that can play basketball, a school that can play basketball, a school that has, a competitive spirit that needs to be recognized. It's not just a football school anymore and not a baseball school anymore. I think Jim did great. I think his presence when they interviewed him was remarkable. I think that how the kids played, they were hard. I thought they represented the school with the utmost integrity. And when was the last time that you found the University of Miami energizing the community like this team energized this community? I can't tell you how many people the day of the games, the last two games, were, giving me this sign in the store or wherever I was at the gym, whatever the case might be. They were just all excited. And I think it's great for the city and the community. I think it's great for the campus. And I think it's just great for everybody. And I have to tell you one more thing.
Yeah.
I think the best game I think I saw the entire series of the March Madness so far was the UConn women and NC State women in that double overtime game. What an amazing game. I was riveted. I didn't get any sleep that night. It was incredible. And I didn't have a a horse in the race. Other than
come on, you had money on Gino to win the tournament.
I'm not a big fan of I'm not a big fan of Gino, but if I was there, if there was a definite lean toward NC State in that one, but I just thought the whole tournament was great, and I'm looking forward to it. You know what I found interesting, Defo, and
yes.
I think Lubie and I may have touched on this. I find that people who weren't on the Krzyzewski fandom group, they're not a big fan of Krzyzewski for whatever reason.
I want to see him lose every game.
I think
and
a bunch of those people
are.
Yeah. I think a bunch of those people are being swayed to see him kind of go out with another championship.
Not me.
Oh, no.
I know.
I'm sorry about that one, Tony. I mean, if he
no,
does win
I'm not
it,
saying
I will
you. I'm not
salute
saying
the
you. I'm just
accomplishment.
telling you.
Yeah.
I'm saying that a lot of people are. My son isn't. My son's with you on your. He's in
You're
the same
so
car
sentimental,
you're in.
though. I mean, that would be your bag, is to see this guy win. We want to see him get crushed by North Carolina a second time, and react like the crybaby that he was when he was being honored in that ceremony at his final regular season game, Camden Indoor, and he loses the game. And he gets up, grabs the microphone away, almost like he was Will Smith going up to slap Chris Rock and says, "This will never happen again." He did like the Tebow speech. It was so weaselly. I just really lost a lot of respect for the man.
I am so tired of that. If I see that slap in the face one more time, it's like, really? All right, it's over. We know what happened. So. Well, I disagree with you, but that's okay. That's why we do.
I mean, Chris Rock can take a punch, though. I mean, didn't you? He should have played Ali. Not
he took a punch, man. He really did. He stood
didn't
there
even buckle, nothing.
No knees wobbling, no nothing.
It was like when Hearns hit Hagler the first time, and
Yeah,
Marvin just
like,
looked back at him.
Is
That's
that
all
all you
got,
have?
Tommy?
Yeah.
Is that all you have? Hagler just looked. I remember that Hagler just looked at him like, "Really? That's
Tommy,
it?"
I mean, that's it. That's that big right hand. What are you talking about, kid?
It was like,
Go back to the Motor City and get back in the Kronk gym and learn how to hit the heavy bag. Do something.
He hit like Floyd the Barber on the Andy Griffith show.
He had a big follow through in that slap, though. I mean, it really was, incredible that Rock never even. Not only did he not buckle, but he didn't lose a step. Right? He's immediately making more jokes. Probably regretting that
They did
this woman was bald. Yeah,
it has gotten to this point of ridiculousness now that they put a map up. I forget who I was watching. They put a map up of the United States, and the blue colored states were all in favor of Chris Rock, and the red colored states were all in favor of Will Smith.
Really?
And it was predominantly everybody was going like, what was Will Smith up to? Like Chris Rock, Chris Rock was being Chris Rock.
Yes.
And
he's too likable of a guy, to get angry about one joke that might have been in poor taste, which it might have been, no question.
Yeah, I mean, there obviously is a history there, and we can't go into their heads, but it was ill-timed, and I'm sure the regrets are
never happened to you though, Tony. Any of your MCing gigs? I mean, you've MC'd like a zillion things. There's nobody better at it than you. I mean, people, you should see this guy MC an event.
Well, thank you. You restrain yourself at moments for sure if you have to, or you try to.
Well, you're not inclined, though, to go Rickles on people, I mean, or do some kind of roast, are you, Tony? I mean, I don't see that. You're always very dignified.
I have a hard time roasting people. I really do. I mean, I have fun having fun with people, like when Joey and I go on, like Joey and I are going away again this coming week. We're going to Boston.
Talking about the great Joey Kornblit.
Yeah, and he and I always bust on each other. I mean, we're just busting on each other all the time. They call the former CEO of Ultimate Software, Scott Shear. When he sees us, he calls us the odd couple, because there's the messy one and there's the clean one. There's the one who's on schedule and the one who's kind of going, where are we now?
Wait a minute. Which one are you, Tony? In that?
I'm the guy who's on the schedule.
Oh, that's right. You're always on time because you're in this business. You have to show up at post time for the show. All right. We're going to take a brief time out here with Tony Segreto and Old School. Are we coming back with possibly a visible Ed Garcia?
He's here.
Is that what's happening?
we can just do our thing now.
Oh, there he is!
Good morning.
Texas
This
Roadhouse
is
right here.
awesome. How cool is this?
Wow, that's
man.
great. Ed, how are you? Good to have you not only on the program but on the video stream as well.
Awesome, doing very good. Hopefully, you guys can hear me okay. I'm here in the command
great.
center for.
Microphone's great. How do I get your microphone?
Yeah.
Oh,
Can we hook Tony up? We'll move Tony into your box there. It sounds and looks great.
Yeah. Where are you, Ed? Where are you calling from?
I'm actually in the command center. I'm here down in Delray. Just got
nice.
done with the day of traveling, and so I'm hanging out in my office. This is where all the magic happens for the financials and conference calls for Texas Roadhouse.
Wow, the curtain has been pulled back.
It has.
So listen, Ed, let's talk about the tournament this past weekend. I'm sure you guys were like setting all kinds of records with people at the restaurant, and now we have the Final Four coming up. And as some coaches say, there's nothing quite like walking on the floor that first game when you consider there are 4 champions competing for one major championship.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a fantastic weekend. You know, number one, I mean, the waits. I was working in the Daytona area. We were up to almost 2 hours. I think it was about 111 families were waiting to have dinner. But the mobile app makes it super easy. Obviously, right around the bar area, we have 9 big screen TVs, 55 inches, the smallest, all the way up to 85. So you can really enjoy the game as well. But, you know, get that ice cold beer. 22-ounce mug. You can't go wrong with some boneless wings and our snake bites, which if you don't know is our homemade jalapeno poppers. Just a fantastic product. And then the energy and the line dance, which is absolutely awesome. But still waiting to get Lubie here to come out and line dance for us.
Oh my gosh, that we would have to take a video of and show it. But I have to tell you, it's testimony to how much people love Texas Roadhouse that they are willing to wait.
Oh,
2 hours.
absolutely.
You
I
know,
mean, it's just an experience altogether. I mean, you can count on that great food as well as the fun and that legendary service. You know, that's one of the things that Kent's passion and pride is service. And we have 3 table stations, and I interview people from time to time, you know, servers from other restaurants. They're like, we're up to 10 tables. And they're like, we want to come work for you. 10 tables sounds awesome because maybe you can make more money, but it's too hectic. You can't get that connection with the people. And, you know, in Texas Roadhouse, we're a people company that just happens to sell a lot of steaks.
all right, one more thing. How stressful does it get when you know that there's a 2-hour wait and people are just, I mean, they're doing it, you know, in the kitchen and they're doing it, serving it up. How stressful does it get for those people to make sure everything remains on time and the way it's supposed to go?
Definitely organized chaos. You know, when you're full, you're full. You know, however, the pressure definitely lies on those people working that front door because you're going to have that one guest. They're sitting there in the corner and they're just staring at you with those eyes, you know, just counting, watching that clock, watching that. It's been 71 minutes and you told me.
This thing isn't going off, this thing with the red light. Yeah,
exactly. So that's probably the most anxious part is being in that box up front. But, you know, the team, you know, we just have a great time and make the best of it and, you know, do chants and sing songs and just have a great old time.
All right. Well, listen, Ed, it's great to have you. By the way, we haven't forgotten
look great,
about
kid. You look great.
This is awesome. Yeah, I mean, he makes us. Let me tell you what, you take 3 homely guys and you put you on, man. That's just, that helps us.
Plus, he knows what he's talking about, Tony. That's another big difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So listen, I just want you to know we haven't forgotten about the Kentucky Derby. Just in case you were wondering.
Oh, wow. It's right
I
around
have
the corner.
not gotten any tickets for the Derby yet or that call. I've been having my fingers crossed, so I'm making that happen.
Yeah. Well, listen, anybody, all jokes aside, if you're looking for a good meal, consistent meal with great service and no sticker shock with food that is absolutely unbelievable, this is the place to go. It's Texas Roadhouse. And trust me when I tell you, if you're on a low carb diet, throw it away for the day and just feast on the darn rolls and the sweet potatoes and the jalapeno poppers and everything else that they have, because it's worth ditching it for a day, isn't it, Ed?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thanks for being on. This is great. We need to have you on like this every week.
Yeah.
Awesome. I will make it as long as I'm in Florida. You know, you can count me in. I'll be on here.
All right, you're the man.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Definitely, yeah, no, it'd be great, and have another commentator. Although the Wolverines, did they what? They won one game in the
Yeah.
tournament, Michigan, and then lost in the second round. Is that right? Or did they win two?
I think they got to the
Michigan
16s.
Wolverines.
I think they won
Back to
Yeah.
two.
the 16s.
I
They
think
got
they
to
They
the
did win
16s.
two. Yes. Yeah.
Because we had Bacon on last
Threads
week.
has to be happy, right? There was
Yeah.
steam that they didn't even belong in a tournament. They won a
Yeah.
couple of games, and the Big Ten in general was a disaster by comparison. As Jim Larinaga told us, the ACC was being completely underrated
Yep.
and absolutely ignored by the committee seating process because they ended up with two teams out of the four in the Final Four, and they. People were shocked that they had like 5 teams in a tournament. All right, coming up with more with Tony Segreto, old school with Tony Segreto, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse. That was great having Ed on, and could easily become a fourth commentator here on the program.
Yeah.
And also Catholic Health Services, fine organization. You've been seeing the messages there. All of that is what Catholic Health Services is about and much more. We'll tell you more about them later on in the show. More with Tony Segreto in a moment here on the Defo Show on ION channel. Google the Defo Show. You can catch all of the previous editions of the program, including yesterday. Great conversation, again, very illuminating with Jim Larinaga, who was orchestrating and writing that Cinderella story up until the second half against Kansas.
That was just fabulous.
Nice to see him get the spotlight and the way that he handles it. I mean, he's the same no matter what. And he's been very gracious with us. So Lubie and I, every time we ask him to come on, he comes on, and he always spends a lot of time with us. So we couldn't be any more thrilled. Yeah,
he was gracious during the tournament when they interviewed him during the games or after the game. Just so gracious and so happy and so genuine. That's the thing. He was just genuine, and you came away if you didn't know Jim before that and that didn't sway you toward what kind of coach he is, what kind of man he is, and what kind of leader of young men he is. Their love for him was remarkable. You could see it in the players' eyes and how they felt about him. It was wonderful to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the nice things that this gets into some Segreto sentimentalism, but I do enjoy this aspect.
God forbid.
But I really enjoy this. I mean, you can see, and here's a 73-year-old guy. And he does appear to have tremendous chemistry with, I mean, some of his kids were in their 30s also because they'd been at school for 8 years. But nonetheless, I mean, you see this genuine bond with coach and player on a lot of different levels, and especially like you see the St. Peter's players and their regard for this Shaheen Holloway, who instilled them with this confidence that they could win a few games in the tournament, and they were genuinely disappointed that they didn't move on.
Yeah,
and end up in the Final Four, and they did meet a team that obviously, I mean, you talk about hamburger All-Americans versus like chopped liver All-Americans. That was North Carolina and the Blue Bloods against St. Peter's, but Holloway, I guess, is headed for Seton Hall, and that's all the rumor, and it seems like a logical move. But you see that bond with player and coach, and you see it on a lot of different occasions during the course of the tournament, and it is, I have to say. Tony Segreto, you got me here. I may tear up. Very, sentimentally appeasing.
God forbid. I want to know that when you bought your new house, did you install the cynical faucet so that you can drink that cynicism water every morning?
It's just the way the world is right now. I mean, it just is.
It's the way you see the world.
Maybe so. All right. Well, I'm just not going to church with you on Sundays, Tony, instead of going to the track. Because I pray at Our Lady of Paramutual, as you know. And,
I know.
There'll be a lot more of that activity coming up this weekend, which is kind of interesting. So I'll have a shot to bet legally in New Jersey, a chance to bet a parlay on the 2 games. I'm curious to get your opinion on that because I'm leaning towards.
By the way, did you have a good time?
Oh yeah, fantastic! So we have to go back.
We're going back this weekend.
It's the greatest lure in the world. Where
you going back this weekend?
Mustang won so much money. They lured her back with a drawing for like $50,000 that her name will be entered in, and she has to be there though, to have any shot at it. So would you take a shot for 50 dimes? You're putting at risk probably another, a couple of $1,000 here of the money that you won. What do you think? Would you? You wouldn't because
you wouldn't.
See, I'm looking at it this way: like a lot of people are eliminated because they probably won these jackpots while they were out of town. But would you? Would you agree?
If there was 50,000, I'd go back. Why not?
Right. It's costing me like 4 sticks to fly up there, and actually, I have good things to say about Spirit Airlines.
You can afford it. You're making a ton of dough doing these shows, for gosh sake. Stop it.
She hit it big this time.
It's not that. No, the reason she's in the drawing is because she won like 11 times on a slot machine. And we actually, for the first time in my life, in any gambling circumstance, left the place with a check from the, wagering establishment. A check, Tony Segredo. Can you imagine?
A check. Wow.
A check, and it wasn't like a marker. It was an actual check with cash that I could deposit in my bank account. All right, we're coming back with more with Tony Segredo. More old school. The baseball season cranking up. We're coming down the wire here in the NBA. A lot of different things were happening in the National Football League as well. And, of course, more on the tournament with Tony Segredo as we go old school here on the Defo Show on IO Channel. He's Mike Lubitz. I'm Jeff Deforrest. Back with more in a moment. Now that. It's 8:25. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
A young person at a crossroads in life has an opportunity that otherwise would not be there. A Tony Segredo charity event, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars to help young people to find themselves in today's chaotic universe. A noble endeavor through college athletics, hardworking coaches, many hours of practice, many hours cracking the books. There is an answer out there for NCAA athletics. Yes, it does involve the pursuit of virtue, and nobody better to expose that and generate that thought than the great Tony Segredo.
The morning just isn't right without Defo. It's now time for the Defo Show.
Tony creating spiritual awareness here on the program. That's always been his MO and his style. We love him for that. Welcome back to the show.
How did I? You brought that up. You're the one who said, I'm going to go to church with you on Sunday. I had nothing to do with that. I had nothing.
The likelihood of that is 0.0, Tony. I mean, that's something. Saying this purely as entertainment,
absolutely, it was all entertainment. I mean, you'd probably fall down if you walked into a church for that.
I've been in a church a couple of times. I would say one time I don't even want to say what I was engaged in doing because the church was empty, or so I thought, and I was up in the balcony with a friend of mine who I just made the acquaintance of on the quad, and things got a little out of hand. But the likelihood of me going with you is 0.0. Now, I will say this: I have bought in on something, Tony, and this may come as a surprise to you. All right.
Wait, should I be Fred Sanford here? This could be the big one, Elizabeth.
I don't know. I mean, it isn't like it takes a genius to come around to this point of view. But and for years, I mean, when you mention the Miami Dolphins, they were the emblem of class. You can hear John Facetta in your head saying, Don Shula and the Miami Dolphins. And
were with capital letters is the opposite.
Great organization. I mean, just unbelievable. They stood for everything that was righteous and good about sports, and they did it the right way, and they abided by the rules, and they worked hard, and they had 6 practices a day. And Shoes was, as iconic a sports figure as you could ever come across. I mean, up there with anybody that is emblematic and symbolic of greatness. And then they went into total chaos. But I'm buying in. I don't know if this is by just pure bizarre luck and circumstance or if it's by design, but whatever it is, they sort of have me back. I mean, after 20 years of ineptitude and Mike Tannenbaum and bad decisions and poor free agent signings and poor drafts and ugliness and losses and accusations of sports bribery and all kinds of stuff, when he got Tyreek Hill after signing a couple of offensive linemen in the offseason, and I'm thinking, this Jalen Waddle, he's not far behind Tyreek Hill at this point. And when he was only a rookie last year, all of a sudden I'm starting to think that you can make up for the fact that maybe Tua has some flaws, but his skills and what he is good at seems to fit the personnel that they're going to be able to line up with. I don't know. Are you sold that the Miami Dolphins and what's going to be a very, very tough AFC are once again contenders based on the moves they made and that they're operating under sound principle and thought processes?
I think that they are probably working under sound principle. Am I sold? No, because you still
You're not
have
sold.
because you still have to.
Oh my God! Holy Bob
I've-
Kuchenberg, you're not sold, Tony?
Not yet. Nope. Nope.
Oh my God! I'm so deflated. I
Nope.
really thought I was
Nope.
pumping you up into a
Nope.
a cheerleading session almost for the
Nope.
Dolphins, like we've been having here.
Listen. I'm excited about the moves. I'm happy about the moves. It seems to me on paper the moves are great, but we've seen
What's the holdup
on
then?
paper before. You still have to put them out on the field and execute. They still,
come
Tua's
on,
still got to
Tony.
get them the ball.
So Tony
They still have to
Sopranos more
protect.
jaded than us.
They still have to
That's-
make it.
Wow.
They still have to make it. The quarterback still has to make a quick decision. I don't know if we can do. We haven't seen that.
Did you have a bad meal yesterday or something?
No, I had
did you
nothing
wake
but
up and hit your
great
head?
meals yesterday. I'm just
Well,
telling you.
that's too
I
long.
am. Listen, let's put it this way. We'll change it up. I'm cautiously, with capital letters and exclamation points, wondering. Or I don't even want to put.
That's not a
optimistic
ringing
in.
endorsement. We're buying in, Tony. The cynical ones, the people that perpetually are telling people don't believe a thing that
There's
you
got to
see.
be something in it for you because you
I
can't
don't
just
know.
be
I mean,
doing it on a whim.
I think they'll be exciting again. I really believe that.
I hope.
Yes.
Listen, I can only hope, and I hope the
Cautiously
fans
hopeful.
get excited, and I hope everybody's raving about our new coach. Other
I'm
coaches
shocked.
are raving about him, and I hope, and I pray. You know who I hope for? I hope
You sound
for
like
the real
Dusty Springfield, wishing and hoping. I mean, what is going
well,
on
that's
here?
kind of how I feel. Here's the thing. For the fans who have stuck in there, for the fans who have believed, I'm just not there yet. I'm not there.
Wow. I'm floored.
I'm not-
I don't
I'm
even
not
know what
there.
to do. I mean, should we go to a break? I'm absolutely stunned here. I mean, it's like I got hit with a right hand by Aaron Pryor right out of the corner in the first round.
I'm
My
not there
goodness,
yet.
Tony.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, I may be.
I bought season tickets yesterday. I mean, I went out of my way.
Well, you can afford it, for goodness sake. You want to have $11,000.
Well, I'm going back to lose 3 times right back to this place. I know
You're
that.
going to come back with 50,000. You're going to have, you're
That'd
going
be
to
nice.
be, your
Oh,
pockets will be full. They'll be questioning you.
Wouldn't that be great? I'm no good at lotteries and drawings, though. The only lottery I ever was lucky on was the draft lottery when they first. I mean, remember when they had that? I don't know if you were
me too.
involved. I was in school at the time, and so I
me
had
too.
the exemption. And then, like the first 5 numbers that were drawn, like 1 through 5, 3, and they had that drawing on the air. I don't know if you remember this. It was like being
I
broadcast on the
remember
radio.
vividly. Yep. Yeah.
And I'm listening. I was, you'll find this surprising. I was on my way back from a racetrack, going back to my home where I was living on Long Island with my parents at the time. And they drew the numbers. Oh, I think I was on my way back from working at Shea. That's when it was. I was, selling souvenirs that day. And I turned on the radio in the car, and they announced the first number. Like number 1 was July something. All right. I'm born July 5th. And then like 2 and 4 were also days in July. And I thought, oh, God, I think I'm going to be spared, the agony of trying to figure out what to do with this proposition of getting drafted, which I wasn't a fan of the idea. At that point, I mean, we had realized that, going to Vietnam was not going to be a favorable thing, no matter how much of a loyal American that you were. And, the alternatives weren't great, but I ended up with a number like 285 or something.
Yeah, I was
So
pretty high.
there was no
too.
shot. Yeah.
I was pretty high too, and in school. So, but yeah, no, I remember that. In fact, I was telling Roseanne last night. Every once in a while, you talk about old school. Every once in a while, I'll listen to classic radio, like the old radio shows.
Oh yeah,
And,
War of the Worlds, one of our favorites.
Yeah, I remember. Because I remember as a small boy, my dad and I at night, God rest his soul, we would listen to radio shows. We'd listen to, the Lone Ranger or Superman on the radio. And that was such a great visual. That's why I loved listening to baseball games on the radio, the way they painted the picture of what the day was like, what the banners were like, all of that. And it was a Bob Hope show. And at the end of the show, he was in Washington and he just started talking about the hardest job in the world. He got a chance to see the president. He said, the hardest job in the world is president of the United States. And he said, think about when he gets up in the morning, how he walks in his office and he's staring, the Cold War in the face. He's staring, the H-bomb. And I'm thinking to myself, have things really changed? No. They really haven't. In all those years, they really have not changed at all. I mean,
well, there was a period there where he was staring at Monica Lewinsky. Who? How did she end up on the red carpet of the Oscars?
This was back in 1948. So
all right. You're going way back. All right.
Yeah. So
all right, very good.
Yeah. God forbid,
No, these are hideous problems and considerations. I mean, I'm watching the news and you're thinking, this maniac is maybe an inch away from saying, well, what the hell, man? I don't care. So let's just throw some nuclear weapons out there.
It's difficult. It really is. But anyway,
Kim Jong-un seems to be in the minor leagues, even though he's launching missiles that could wipe out entire countries in the span of seconds. Yeah.
I'm going to go back to what you were saying. Listen, I really want to say this. I like I said to you earlier about the UM basketball team and how that basketball team energized this community. There is nothing, and we've talked about, there are two things that galvanize a community: championships, sports championships in some form or fashion, or disasters in some form or fashion. Both of those entities, both of those moments in time galvanize a community. Remember how this community came together after Hurricane Andrew.
Was crazy.
It was remarkable how this community.
People were cooperating with each other, which is
after Irene, and just amazing times. And then when you go back to the championships, whether it was my UM's championships, whether it was baseball or football, and then you have the Heat's championships and the Marlins run during the World Series, and of course the Dolphins in '72 and '73, and all of those times. Those moments, really brought a community together. Yep. So if we can create that kind of enthusiasm and that kind of bonding again by our teams, whether it's the Dolphins, the Heat, the Panthers, the University of Miami, I'm all for it. I'm just not sure yet. We have seen the charlatans come into town year after year after year, and the excitement is falsely placed. All I'm saying is I'm looking at this and going, on paper, we are doing the right thing. It's exciting to have Tyreek Hill. It's exciting. Listen, I agree with you about Jalen Waddle. I think he is the real deal.
That's great.
I really do. But again, we have to remember how many times, and again, this is not being cynical. It's just being pragmatic.
I can't believe
how many times have we seen, we can flip it either way, a player who is supposed to be an all-pro that is not living up to his or her potential is traded to another team and they thrive and they explode and man, they are the all-star. And how many times have we seen the all-star and the all-pro go from one team to another and all of a sudden it evaporates?
Well, especially when he's going to the Dolphins of late.
Yeah, exactly. So my point, that's my point. Let's see how this plays out. Listen, all indications are what you're saying, that they'll be competitive and they're going to be, a team to reckon with. And I pray, if you want to come to church with me, I pray that you're right, because it's great for the community.
Outside, scalp some tickets to the
and I feel that, I'm optimistic about the University of Miami too. I just feel everything is in place. Now let's see what happens. I feel the energy. Go ahead, Lubie.
Well, my thing is, okay, look, and I don't actually agree with a lot of what this guy says. I don't even follow him on Twitter, but someone retweeted something Omar Kelly said, and he's covered the team for the last 15 years. So if you've covered this, but if you cover the team during this era, jaded is an understatement. Like, you're way worse than that. And I get it. You've seen guys come into this organization who are well thought of and they make moves. Look, even Joe Philbin, who we mock, Cam Cameron, who we mock, we're actually big head coaching targets before the Dolphins got him. Like, people forget that offseason, Cam Cameron was a big deal. Like, the Chargers offense was amazing, and people were looking at Cam Cameron, not just the Dolphins. Joe Philbin, the same thing. Like, Aaron Rodgers personally vouched for Joe Philbin, just like Peyton Manning vouched for Adam Gase. So I get it. This is the first time in that regard, but you're taking that on its own. Look at everything else that's come with Mike McDaniel. The staff he's put around them has never gotten credit. With like the other staffs that people put together were jokes. Like the staff Mike McDaniel's put around former head coaches, former college coaches that excelled. Like he went out of the box and hired
former Dolphin players. I mean,
former players.
Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you.
Any other coaching hire they've made, the moves they've made are strategic. Even Tyreek Hill, and we had Frank Schwab on, believe yesterday, and he was categorically wrong. Like Tyreek Hill actually has had he had 111 catches last year. Less than 20 were deep balls. Less than 20, which that means 90 or more catches were exactly what Tua excels at. So it's the perfect move for Tua. Like every move they've made is something we've never seen before from past regimes. So that's the only reason I have excitement, because at least there's a plan and they're following it. Will it work? Who knows? But at least
I agree. You know what? I agree with you. There is a plan. And let's put it this way. It's sort of like I feel like I'm walking into this room, and instead of just, opening the curtain and stepping right in, I'm sort of pulling the curtain back and looking first. That's my point. And it's not being pessimistic at all. I'm not pessimistic. I'm just being cautious. That's all. I don't want to be duped again.
People are going to think Vince McMahon put us up to this role reversal here, where all of a sudden you turned into the bad guy, Tony Segreto. My God, did you hear Lubie's impassioned? I mean, Lubie is more cynical than I am about the Miami Dolphins. I've become like a lot of people, and this is really unfortunate because we have two teams that are at the very apex of their sport, with the Miami Heat still in first place in a tough Eastern Conference, and the Florida Panthers lighting it up. I mean, in their conference, running away.
Hey, by the way, can I get in on that bet? I'll go to Runway.
I'll go against Mayo.
Well, I mean, are you willing to endure the possible pain if Mayo turns out to be right? This cynical.
What is Mayo
Mike Mayo
thinking?
Well, he has a thing.
He's thinking that it's happened before, and he's thinking exactly what you're saying about the Dolphins. Like until I see it, I don't believe it. Like you're from Missouri.
I get it. I get it. Especially for those of us who have been down here so long and got now, to your point, Lubie, gone through this stretch where we're like, okay, we've had all these people come in and do all that stuff. All I'm saying is, I am excited that we made the moves, and on paper, I think they've been strategically done properly. I think that McDaniel brings in a youthful approach to this game, and I don't mean because of his age as much as it is the way he thinks. And the way he thinks is he's looking at his strategies a little bit differently, and I think that that's what you need. Now let's see if we can take all of those pieces and build the house. Okay, we've got all the lumber, we have all the cement, we have everything we need. Now do we have the people to assemble it and put it up so it stays up?
I'm laughing because I'm picturing you, and I can still see you standing there in your beautiful suit, with the hair perfectly coiffed there, and the makeup, I mean, just laid out so that the lighting accentuated every favorable feature of
Handsome
your face.
guy.
A very handsome Tony Segreto. And the schedule had come out, and a war had broken out in the Ukraine, but they decided to table that story to have you pick the games before the season started, which ones the Finns are going to win and lose. This is the same guy that used to have them at 11-5 virtually every year, 12-4.
Listen, I'm just hoping.
What happened? Was that all a fraud, Tony? What was that?
I would be jumping up and down at 10-6. Are you kidding me? I would be like, are you kidding me right now? This is the best thing that's happened since I don't know when. But that would
10-7 won't do it though. I mean, added game. I do believe this though. And this is true about sports and teams play in general. I believe that sometimes you fix other components, and it also elevates and accentuates the things that you want your quarterback to have as part of the offense, influenced by the things that he does well. I mean, if you're a good coach, so you can. I don't know. That we interviewed Jason Cole, said that the Tyreek Hill thing happened more by just happenstance instead of circumstance. That it really just fell in their lap. It wasn't like they were thinking, "Oh, good, we're going to get Tyreek Hill."
Right.
But when they did, and they made that move, and you're thinking, okay, what does Tua do well? He runs a little bit to his left, and he fires a dart. And, all these guys need, I mean, they're both, Waddle and Hill, tremendous playmakers after the catch. And as Lubie said, I mean, most of the balls that Hill catches are inside of 5-6 yards
of
the line of scrimmage.
Here's the important thing that you just brought up, okay? What was it or what is it that makes great coaches great? What was it about Don Shula that made him great? He did not force his system on his team. He allowed his team to create the system by what they did well.
Yeah.
Right. So with Greasy, he ran. With Woodley, he had kind of an option.
Woodley hid at the exit. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, with he had the 2 quarterback system, and then with Marino was we're just gonna throw it around.
Hey, there you go, Dan. Yeah.
And so he was able to take all of these. I mean, he left the great high top Johnny Unitas in Oramoro to come here. And what did they throw? What did Greasy throw in that first Super Bowl? 14 passes, or the second Super Bowl? 14 passes, something like that.
I think it was 7.
It was like 7 or 8.
And
7 passes the whole game. And he had Paul Warfield.
Probably arguably the great to me. Paul Warfield may arguably be, if not the greatest, within the top 5 all-time receivers.
Very gracious gentleman, also. Warfield,
and so he was able to do that, and great coaches do that. And if McDaniel can do that, to your point, that's who the coach is. That's the coach that really understands the game, that looks at his players and says, okay, here's what they do well. We're going to accentuate that instead of putting them in, what did Wooden say? The best strategy in the world isn't the best strategy if you don't have a player who can execute it. I mean, just like
I think this guy can play this kind of offense. I really do. I mean, I've been, extolling the whole idea that his limitations were maybe going to preclude him from ever being a great quarterback in the NFL. But I mean, with this assemblage of talent, including a couple of offensive linemen, it does seem to me that this will accentuate what he does well, which is fire that short pass in there, and he's very accurate with that ball, and then that'll open things up a little bit, hopefully, where he can drop one in over the top every now and then.
The truth of the matter is this: if you don't have anybody who can protect you, I don't care who you are.
That was the problem of Philbin, who was an offensive line coach, and Cameron and Gase and Flores. They never addressed the offensive line, and Greer supposedly did it, and McDaniel said, "Screw you. This is what we're doing. We're getting the best left tackle on the market. We're getting the best guard on the market. Hunt is good. And then we're going to draft guys because I'm protecting Tua. I don't care what these idiots have done in the past." And that's why I'm actually confident, because my dad's been bitching about the offensive line since I'm 16 years old. And it feels like first time since Richard Webb and Keith Sims, they actually have a line that may not have their quarterback die. So it's like, okay.
If this works, Lubie, if this works, I think that you should go to the Dolphin facility and beg them to go up to Tallahassee and teach Mike Norvell and that staff how to get a good offensive line for their quarterbacks at Florida State. That's what I think you need to do.
The cynics are weighing in on your side, Tony. Our good friend Andy says that Waddle will be injured by week 8 with turf toe, out for the season, and then get some cockamamie medical advice like they gave O.J. McDuffie, our good friend. And the next thing you know, they're victim or targets and principals in another lawsuit. All right, speaking of injuries, people do get injured, and a lot of different things happen to people. And, not all of it is good. And yet, sometimes you're just recovering from like a surgery that's just going to make you better. Maybe you had a knee replacement or something. And, people who suffer strokes, how unfortunate. I mean, it's a tough comeback road. You need good people behind you. You need the right medical team. And then you need some people that actually care about the patients and don't just look at them as a number. And that is especially true of the good people at Catholic Health Services who have done dynamite jobs for many, many people, and you can tell the difference right away when you're dealing with Catholic Health Services.
It is truly a difference maker, and especially as you get older in life, when you have to rehabilitate, it is difficult. And to get people around you that not just care, but show the caring in a loving way, that teach the family what's going to happen and tell them what to expect. And I keep hearing the drumbeat as we have for the last 4 weeks, we've been saying pretty much the same thing. And I'm just going to keep beating this drum because people, family, friends, how many times are you trying to get a hold of a doctor to find out what's going on with your family? How many times? And how many times do you wait by the phone? It's sort of like calling the the radio station, hoping that you're caller number 5003, and you keep getting the busy signal, and you
I'm
keep
hoping for that
calling
in
and
Atlantic
keep
City.
calling and keep calling. Yeah,
that we win the
And
draw.
it's unfortunate. And what Catholic Health Services does is this: they not only take care of the patient, they not only do it in such a caring and loving and passionate way with an expertise that's unmatched. They do it so the family is well aware of what's going on step by step. They let the family know every day how the rehab is going. And when it's time to release the loved one back to the family, how to take care of that loved one and continue the rehab so that they can continue getting better and better and better, so their normal life is back to normal again. And I think that's where we thrive. We thrive at Catholic Health Services because, yes, you can get machines that work at every rehab facility. Yes, you can get people to rehab you. Yes, you're going to find doctors who take care of you. Yes, and yes, and yes. You do all the checklists. But what is it about Catholic Health Services that separates them? It's its people. The people that have been there for years. They haven't been there for a couple of months or 1 year. They've been there for decades because they love what they do. They care about the people. They care about the families, and they'll care about you just the same. So if you're thinking about it, or if you know someone who needs it, and Defo's been through it, don't hesitate to call. Go on their website, CatholicHealthServices.org. They're the best people in town to do what you want, when you need rehab.
Communication being a key there, Tony. You're absolutely dead on the money with that. It's like a teacup ride when you call a hospital. You just spin you around and pass the buck, and the responsibility is borne by no one. And with Catholic Health Services, I mean, the minute that we switched to their care for my mother, it was amazing. It really was, Tony. I mean, it was absolutely inspiring to see a company perform their job that well, and to make you feel comfortable no matter what the situation was health-wise, whether it was somebody rehabilitating an injury or, in this case, unfortunately, making that transition to the great casino in the sky. Just absolutely amazing communication and expertise by Catholic Health Services. All right, we're going to come back and wrap things up with Tony here in a moment. The great Tony Segreto, Mr. Cynical, Mr. I'm a non-believer.
Guy,
Wow.
Hey, Lubie, he is going to take this and run with it like I've never seen.
I don't know that you're wrong. I mean, I can't say that you're wrong.
I'm cynicism. Just saying, I'm being pragmatic.
Practical.
But I mean, who wants to do that when we could just
exactly.
be an open celebration and then cry all season that we were wrong?
You're the one who has 5 refills of the cynicism pill.
Exactly.
I've had 3 marriages, Tony.
How many
what are
times
you talking about?
Do you take that pill every 8 hours, or is one enough? Is it time release? Is that cynical pill time release? Is it?
I'm fair-minded when it comes to sports analysis, and obviously, there unfortunately could be some truth to the idea that maybe these guys are such bozos that they can't put it together. But
maybe they did, and maybe they didn't.
I have to say, and we've been saying this forever. If you're going to be bad, at least be exciting and entertaining.
They got to at least be exciting. I mean, they have to at least be fun.
They have to be an exciting ball club this year.
Yeah,
and they may not.
If
they
you're
may not win
bad,
spot.
be good at it.
Yeah, but the possibilities are certainly there. And on top of that, it does appear to me that if you had a flawed quarterback, or a quarterback you didn't think was going to be like Herbert or some of the other guys at Allen that are destined for stardom there because they're big strapping human beings and can fire the rock down the field 70 yards on the fly and and hit a guy in stride. I think they made moves that really will accentuate what Tua Tagovailoa does well. I believe
we'll see.
What a lot of people are saying, the rhetoric is that if he doesn't do it this year, then look, at least they gave him every chance.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, before I forget, when you go to Runway because you're going to win the bet.
Yeah.
I know everybody gets the chicken parm, which there's not anything at Runway that's
it's all good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's not amazing. But if you like, do you like fish, right?
Of course, yeah, big series.
Their swordfish is
that's Mustang.
Remarkable.
Mustang
I don't even get the menu when I go to Runway. They just
swordfish.
Swordfish, right? Okay.
All right. So Mayo, I don't know what kind of. You're invited too, Tony. If he loses, we're allowed to invite as many people as we want.
Is that right? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
coming. I'm
They're having
seriously.
him pay as big a bill as possible. He's been loud as hell about this.
Yeah.
thing.
And Mayo also, he still thinks he's in a time warp, that he's on the expense account of the Sun Sentinel when he was reviewing restaurants, and somehow ate 3 nights a week at Runway 84 before ever putting an article about
Let me
how
tell you
great they
something.
are.
Let me tell you something. That expense, the per diem at the Sun Sentinel was not Runway 84.
Back in the day, it was pretty
not.
significant. This was a good one. You would never do this, Tony, but what was one of the funniest things I ever had with expense accounts? I had paid for a dinner, and it was like 6 people, so I put it on my credit card. It was the coaching staff of the University of Miami baseball team and a couple of other people, and we were in Omaha, Nebraska, at some steakhouse that Sonny Hirsch had recommended. Right. So, I don't think anything of it. I get my check for my expenses, and I try to be relatively accurate. I did factor in some wagering losses whenever I filed the expense report. But then it turned out that Sonny Hirsch had also put in for that same dinner, as if he had picked up the check. And he had another copy of the same check that I paid, and he turned in a check for like $354.
God bless.
WYOD.
That sounds so sunny. That sounds so sunny.
Amazing.
Whenever
right?
I was with Sonny and we did expenses, I go, all right, who's doing it? You or me. I'm not doing this twice.
He was brilliant on the road. I mean, an on-the-road mathematician, that could easily cover all of his baseball losses when he was betting every game on the board during the baseball season.
And I told you, one of the greatest things about Sonny was he was so funny. And one of the things he loved to do was reverse people's names. Right. So
Yes,
he would
yes.
spell them backwards. So every time he'd see me come in, hey, why not? Instead of Tony, right? Why not? Would be backwards. And it was just,
Oh, yeah, he did love doing that. And then Schmendrick was his other name.
Schmendrick.
When he didn't know what your name was, it was like, hey, Schmendrick.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get a couple of messages in, and then we'll come back and say, close out this edition of
Hey,
Old School with Tony Segretto.
Namer just texted me. He wants to talk to me. Uh-oh. We could be in trouble.
Yeah. No, I think he's trying to, do some kind of divisive. No, I don't know. He's always very positive. What are you talking about? He loves you, Tony. All right, back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
I think it's Divine and Conquer, Lubie, is what I was looking for there. It's 8:56.
It's Tony Segretto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
This comes from the great Defo Lama. It's the bets you don't make, the chances you don't take, that can compromise an otherwise incredible life, my friend.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
All right, closing out this Wednesday edition of the Defo Show. It's been a pleasure going old school with Tony Segretto. Always a lot of fun having Tony on the program. Catholic Health Services, Texas Roadhouse Restaurants, of course, involved there. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He's Mike Lubitz. All right, so I'm going to be in Atlantic City. I'll have a chance to legally bet these games live and in person and then watch them. The place was rocking last week, or I guess it was 2 weeks ago, when we were there for the opening round of the tournament. And even though I really didn't indulge that much in wagering on the tournament, because naturally I gravitated over to the race book, which is right across the walkway there, and in the same area at the Borgata.
Yeah.
Very nicely done.
Yeah, really nicely done.
They really had a good basketball crowd, a lively atmosphere. So semifinal games coming up. We have about a minute left here, Tony Segreto. Who are your two picks in the semifinal games, and who do you see winning the championship?
This is who I like. I don't even know what I haven't even looked at.
They're both 4.5 points. Kansas and Duke favorite. Yeah.
Okay, so I would right now. My lean is toward Villanova. In the Kansas game,
okay.
yeah. My lean is toward Villanova, and I'm definitely going to go Duke for the North Carolina game in terms of how I just think they're almost a team of destiny right now, and I think that those players know the enormity of this game. And I just listen. This is not sentimental. If I'm going to place money down, which I'm probably going to do, my two
you
bets
know you're going to do that.
My two bets would go on Duke and Villanova. Those would be my two.
All right, that's interesting because I'm probably going to.
I mean, I think it's easy to go
Kansas, North Carolina. I think is going to be my parlay.
Are you?
On those two games.
Listen, and if I were just going off the last two games that North Carolina and Kansas played, I would definitely go that way too. But I think there's more to it than this, and I think Villanova is a scrappy team. I think they're there for a reason. And I'm just thinking Duke, the way this thing has been playing out, it's almost as if this script is predetermined. It really is. It's
I hope not. I hope it's predetermined.
I can tell you this. TBS is doing the games,
which I don't get that at all.
And well, it's just the way the rotation went
on a Saturday.
Yeah, that's the way the rotation went. But here's the thing: I just think their ratings are going to be through the roof.
Oh yeah,
that late game, North Carolina Duke game, even though those are small markets, I just think that this whole tournament has kind of captivated the country in terms of the St. Peter's and what the University of Miami did, and all those teams that were scheduled to win but didn't, and some of the no one thought would that did. I think it's going to be quite something to see. I'm excited about this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, brackets became dartboards very early on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when St. Peter's won that first game, that everybody's bracket was busted.
It was bust out city, yeah. And then the number one seeds mostly falling by the wayside. Yeah. There was a time everybody was on the Gonzaga bandwagon, like it had to be Gonzaga playing Arizona. Both of those teams eliminated at a much earlier stage than people could have ever anticipated. So,
can I ask you one question before we go? I know it's running late, but Timmy, the guy up for Gonzaga.
Drew Timmy, yep.
Yeah.
Is it me, or did he look like he was 35 years old?
Oh, he's been there forever. He broke in with John Stockton at Gonzaga. Drew Timmy. He don't look like a great player either, but he actually is. He's very impactful.
Yeah, they love him. He's a great guy. Apparently, he's a great guy. And this is I wasn't, being disrespectful.
I wasn't impressed with the 7-foot kid, though. I mean, I wasn't as overwhelmingly impressed as everybody was with Chet Holmgren.
Yeah,
who, I mean, while it's interesting to have a fluke guy that can be athletic at that height, and obviously you're thinking he's got to get a little bit stronger to be a pro, but wow. Didn't overwhelm me this year. I saw him a few times. He was good, but number one overall pick in the NBA draft, I'm not seeing that.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Tony, always a pleasure, my friend. And we'll talk to you again next week.
We'll
enjoy the games.
Next Monday, right, Lubie? Is that what we're doing?
We're doing the flip on next Monday.
We'll be back on Monday.
Yeah,
Joey and I are traveling to Beantown.
Oh, very nice. Well, that'll be a good place to be because they'll be celebrating the Boston Celtics, maybe taking over the top of the Eastern Conference. And maybe even as soon as tonight. Are they a game back of the Heat? They might be a little further back, like 1 1/2. All right, Tony, we love you. We have to run. Jackson will be texting you again. Hey, get off my airwaves. All right, because we got to clear it out for the next program here on Ion Channel. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He's Mike Lubie Lubitz. We'll see you tomorrow with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Going to be a lot of fun. Special edition coming up on Friday of Degenerate Friday, which will feature Kate and Bradar on the Florida Derby. Always great. Kate and Bradar of TVG fame and many other affiliations that she's had. Always in hot demand for her handicapping expertise. Mark Lawrence on the basketball tournament and the professor who's been on fire on the basketball tournament. And also the Gambling Gourmet will defend his position. And he doesn't mind, Mayo. You think if we invited Segreto and maybe a few others to the Runway 84 thing?
It's happening. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll split it between us if we lose, but when we win, he'll just pay.
Oh, well, we'll clobber Mayo, man. It'll be over for him. He'll be spitting up mayonnaise. He really will. That was a poor joke, man. He's entitled to come and slap me on Friday's show. All right, so we'll see you tomorrow with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. You can dial up, win some prizes, and thanks to everybody for tuning in, and appreciate the people that are telling others about the show and the growth of the show, both on audio and video. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff Deforrest. We'll see you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:04.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.